Hey, welcome back to the SBP Podcast Mobile Filmmaking. I'm your host, Susie Botello, and you are listening to episode 158. When you're listening to people talk about filmmaking, usually they bring up storytelling. It's a big, major part of it. But that's not the storytelling that we're going to discuss here tonight, because we're going to talk about a different kind of storytelling. So I welcome you to the panel, Fade Into Film, with our panelists, Joey Min, Jason Rivera, Levi Austin Morris, and Ryan McDonald. And we're going to talk to them about this topic, but we're also going to be discussing other things that are on your mind as an indie filmmaker, as a content creator, as a mobile filmmaker, and as a storyteller. So get ready. Here we go.
We are Fade Into Film.
Joey, you're in the woods.
I'm in the
woods. You were gonna say.
Like we're going right into it.
Joey, you're in the woods?
Well,
what are you doing in the woods,
I'm
man?
in the woods.
So tell everybody why you're in the woods.
Oh, I'm just I just last minute gig I picked up and I'm out here. I think I'm driving back tomorrow, but they need me here.
If you survive.
If I survive. Yeah, that's it. That's really it.
Are you sleeping in a tent?
No, it's a cabin.
Oh, okay.
It's a little tiny
that's
shed
awesome.
cabin. Yeah.
Is it like literally the cabin in the woods?
It's a cabin in the woods, yes.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you filming?
Was
anything?
earlier. I mean, it's just a production. It's a little tiny production, but
Nice.
I'm charging them high though, so.
Hell yeah, you are. Make that money.
That's awesome. So, hey, everybody, we're chit-chatting here with Joey, who's out in the woods. So he may sound a little different, but it's still Joey. We've confirmed. Welcome back to Fade Into Film. We are the panelists of Fade Into Film. I'm the host, Susie, and here are, obviously, Joey Min in the woods. Levi Austin Morris, Jason Rivera, and Ryan McDonald. How you doing, guys?
Hi.
Doing good. Yeah. Hello.
So we're ready to rumble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. So how does anyone have any updates they want to bring up really quick before?
Sure.
Yeah, what's that?
Paralysis. We were accepted into 2 more film festivals. I don't know if I talked about this last time. I don't think I did.
Nice.
Yep.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, I did.
Not the new ones.
No, not the new ones.
Yeah.
I talked about the festivals that we went to, but we just got accepted into 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
No.
Yeah, so
gosh.
so we are in the Cinephone Smartphone International Film Festival, which is in Spain.
Barcelona.
Yep. And then we are in
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
There you go.
And then we are in the Horror Movie Freaks Film Festival in North Carolina.
Nice.
Nice. Cool.
Rounds. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So which one are you going to?
Well, definitely not the Spain one, because that's going to be too expensive. My sister lives an hour and 45 minutes away from the one in North Carolina. She lives in Virginia.
Ooh.
So I'm finding out tomorrow because I get paid tomorrow. But
Nice.
if I can afford it, and I will crash with her, and she and I will go to the festival together.
Oh,
That sounds like fun.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
it'll be fun because this is. I shouldn't say that. I really like my sister. That's what I'm gonna say. I have.
You don't want to say that's my favorite.
That's what I
sister."
don't want to say.
I said it.
I love all of my siblings, but this sister and I are very close, and so I would love to share the experience of watching the film with her. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Anybody else?
If any of my other siblings listen to this, I apologize.
Your disclaimer.
Not Levi.
Well, my really good friend and oftentimes collaborator, her name is Madison Easley. She did the cinematography for me on the Ancient Evil Moon's Blood, and then she was one of the first times I ever got directed on an iPhone movie. She did a short film trilogy called The Replacement that we were in, and she's over the year been developing a video game for the PC.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
And so we've so for the next couple weekends coming up, she's rented actually studio space, so we'll be in a studio with green screen, full controlled environments, and shooting like video pieces that will go along with the game.
That's sick.
That sounds
What
really
kind
cool.
of game is
It's
it?
really cool.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds very cool.
It kind of has like probably like a Last of Us feel to it.
Yeah.
Somewhat I understand. I'll be honest. I haven't played The Last of Us or I
Okay.
haven't played a video game in a long time. So
Did you watch the show?
I started it, but I didn't. I fell asleep, and then I ended up watching. And it was really late. And
Okay.
yeah, it was like 1 a.m, and then
He's got
somebody,
kids too, so.
He does have
yeah,
kids.
somebody turned me
You
on
gotta
to
pass.
Barry, and I smoked through that show within like 2 weeks. That was, and I don't normally do that.
Yeah,
with
it's a good
shows.
one.
I
I love
really
that.
like Barry. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that's good, and I haven't watched it yet. And
It's very good.
I haven't watched it yet either, and everybody I know is like, Levi, you have to watch that show. So, yeah.
Barry?
Barry.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's Bill Hader.
Yeah, it's surprising, like how I didn't realize like, how much of a film nerd he was, and how great of a director he could be. It got
Sorry,
to
go
the it gets to a point in the show where you can tell which episodes you're like watching, and it's like this is his. Like you can tell that it's his directed episode, and then by the last season he ends up directing every episode. And
I love
they're-
that.
and they're really well done.
Cool. Yeah, I knew that about Bill Hader because I was really fascinated by his journey and his journey to SNL. He moved to LA to be a filmmaker, and he was a very serious filmmaker, and he didn't consider himself funny at all. And then he took an improv class to improve his directing, and Megan Mullally saw him and was like, "You are hilarious," and got him an audition at SNL. But yeah, so like I knew that. I think that's amazing, though. I didn't know that he directed so many episodes of the show.
Well, that's interesting. So you're gonna have your own studio. You're gonna take advantage of that and film a little short.
So we do have a chatting with Madison, and she's directing it, and we do have one day where there's like we only have like maybe half a day of things to film. We have the rest of it, and her and I talked about that. I was like, what do we need? Like what stock item do we need? Me falling toward within the green screen. I don't know. Just be thinking of the stuff that we could shoot in that time period to fill the space.
That's cool.
I bet. I mean, it's like, yeah. It's like if you get a snowstorm, it's like, well, let me just shoot some of this
Yeah.
for a later thing, for an apocalypse movie or something. That's really
That's
cool.
very cool.
And Jason, you got anything or?
Yeah, probably the last month or so, I've been working on scoring a new film, a drama.
Hell yeah.
Is this your fifth one?
Fifth what? Sorry.
Fifth film that you've scored this year? I mean, since the I think you said you had scored 4, but I could be wrong. Since the
Festival?
strikes.
Oh, 3. Yeah, I think this is either number 4 or 5.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
how
having
long
fun.
does that usually take you to like score an entire film, though?
It just depends. Honestly, it's one of those things where however much time you have, I kind of usually wind up using it all. So if I have like a week, then I'll get it done in a week. And if in this case, I've never had on the film that I'm scoring right now, they're still in pre-production. Nothing's been shot.
Wow.
Dang.
So I've never had the leisure of this much time before, but I'm really enjoying it. Like I don't feel rushed at all.
Yeah.
And I sent the first few cues over to the director a few days ago, and she loved them. So that's a good start to the project. So yeah, I'm having fun.
When do they go into production?
Well, I think the actors are getting together for some readings at the end of September, but I don't actually have any dates.
Sure.
Any solid dates at the moment as far as filming.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I've never worked on any production whatsoever, film, video, my own, whatever, that I've not said to myself or to everybody, I don't have enough time. There's not enough time.
Yeah.
We're going to run out of time before it gets done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It always ends up working out. But my feeling is always, every time I'm going into something, it's like, oh my God, it's not enough time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I know. I usually feel really rushed.
Yeah.
Most times. And so this is the first time I'm experiencing this kind of workflow.
Yeah.
It's nice, I will say.
I'm completely inexperienced in that.
Enjoy it because it's rare.
I know. It's very, very rare. I know that.
So I wanted to discuss a topic with you guys a little bit. I'm sure we'll deviate into other topics and, you know, and things like that. So I think I'm looking forward to that too. You know, storytelling is something that we talk about in the movie, in the film industry, and the content creating, whether you're, you know, making stories through music, right, Jason?
Yes.
Or videos or art in some way or another, like Levi paints. And this is not the kind of storytelling, after telling you that I wanted to discuss with you guys. I think our listeners would probably enjoy this discussion as being a little different than what they're used to when people bring up storytelling. And that is the telling of your filmmaking process, really. The storytelling of your film. And how that shapes, because I think that before even social media, people tell the story of what they're passionate about, that they're working in. I'll give you an example from a company and organization that I worked in. They started telling the story. They were creating this nonprofit, right, for a cause. And before they even started, they already started documenting their story. And I came on board a few years after, working in the media and video production and all of that. And one of the things, working with them for, I think it was like 7 years or something, one of the things that I did was know their story from even before, which helped me because I was organizing their media. I was their media manager. And so a lot of times they would say, we want the video of this, some current event that they were having. And they always wanted to tell their story, you know, in parts of their story. And I was always able to say, I remember from way back in the beginning, there was some footage of this or an interview of the founder or something like that. And I would bring that together. And so their story today had a connection to the past that they could share within that media story, right? And I think you can't always tell, you know, you go out, you know, as mobile filmmakers, right? And or indie filmmakers or content creators, or, you know, it's something that I learned even from my own film festival. Document as much as I can, even if this goes nowhere. Because even if you start working on a film, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Don Quixote with Johnny Depp. You guys familiar with that?
I know the name, but I haven't seen it.
Right. That's so what happened was years and years ago, they started working on this film, and Johnny Depp was playing Sancho Panza, I believe, or maybe he was playing Don Quixote. I can't remember. But no, he wasn't playing Don Quixote. Somebody else was. They got to start working on this film, and all kinds of everything bad that could happen literally happened, and then so much more. They were running out of light. They had storms and all sorts of things happen, and they never finished the film. But you know what they had? They had a bunch of documentation of, you know, during the filmmaking process. And so they created a documentary. I think it was on HBO or something where I saw it. And I loved it because it was like the little film that couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And I think it's important to always tell, yes, we tell the story of the storytelling in the film. You know, it's important to create, you know, to make a film that's very captivating and all of that. You know, keep you know, your storytelling is big, it's all that, story is king. But also don't forget, especially with mobile phones available by everyone in the production, to document the storytelling part, because whether you're doing it immediately for social media or whether you're doing it down the line later on, you know, picture, you know, Sean Baker's Tangerine, you know, that they came back later and now this movie is famous. It gets referenced as an indie film, you know, with other greats. And so they have that documentation. And so what do you guys think about that? How would you approach that to emphasize to our listeners and our friends how important that is and why you shouldn't just forget about it, you know, how mindful you should be about that?
Well, I was thinking it's interesting when people who, so again, filming at like, you know, the $5,000 level that we made my movie before, there are some people, they'll be making a movie and they'll have like, well, we don't want anybody taking pictures, any of the cast, and we don't want anybody posting it. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, you don't have, I can understand if you have like a named actor and you don't want to, you want anyone, and you kind of want to maybe treasure that or be respectful of that named actor being there. But when we're shooting it, I would say my level, it's like I want as much exposure that we can get out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it, unless I have like a whodunit and I don't want to spoil the ending, but there's, when we were shooting Married and Loving It, or even with the Wolfman and stuff, I'm just like, I don't care if people see said actor or whatnot with blood on them. It just, to me, it's like, it doesn't give it away. It actually should, hopefully it intrigues someone to look at it. But to view it.
It does. Yeah.
And a practice that I was told when I went through film school was to even hire like a BTS photographer. And so for a while, that's what we would do with our shorts. And then when I did the feature, I did the same thing. My good friend Madison, who I mentioned earlier about the video game, so she came and shot part of many of the things that she did with the film, but she also shot BTS photos for us on several days, and then she even took the time to set actors and crew members aside and do interviews with us as well, so that we had content to create and publish.
Yeah, isn't that a particular job now in Hollywood? Like, there's people just hired to do social media.
Yeah, the social media managers on set.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like, I remember seeing, I forgot who it was. It was like I guess he was like in his early 20s. I forgot what movie, but you know, his whole job was just walking around with his phone and for the movie.
I had as a PA in one of the short films that I worked on. They said, here, use this camera and walk around and just get whatever you can between takes and everything. And of course, I was a goof. So they left it. They added it. They made DVDs out of it, and it had the extras in there. And they literally just put the whole thing in there. They didn't even cut it up or anything. Just put the whole thing in there. And it was hilarious. They loved it.
That's funny.
You know, but... You know, outside of social media and stuff, like today, that was 100 years ago. But today, outside of social media, capturing stuff for social media, you know, like production meetings, you know, when people first meet.
Yeah.
Like almost like hiring somebody to be a documentarian, basically. Beyond social media. And then, of course, using some of that for social media or having social media. But that story of your film sometimes can be more captivating than the film itself.
Yeah.
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 I would agree.
Oh, go ahead, Joey.
Oh no, yeah. Then I was just saying, yeah, totally agree. Because like, it's like your dailies, right? You're trying to. It's kind of like trying to prove to people that you are doing something, but so yeah, the process might be much more. Like the film might be just okay, it's a film, but like the what it took to finish a film might be more interesting than actually the film itself, and I agree.
Yeah.
And inspiring even, right?
Yeah, during Paralysis, my producer actually she wanted to be the behind the scenes person, so she snapped a bunch of videos and boomerangs and photos as we were shooting, and then she made a giant Dropbox, and anybody else who took photos on set could add those to that folder. So it was fun because for me, I'm the person who runs the social media for Paralysis, but it was fun to go through all of that and figure out what we wanted to post or what we, and for a little while, like there was something that we were trying to keep a secret, which is the male demon. And then before we released the trailer, we were like, this is silly. Let's just let, people can see the male demon as well, so we definitely had that on set. And I mean, Susie, you saw one of the videos and you've commented on it. Like we were holding for a plane, and our lead actress.
Oh my God, it's my favorite video.
Our lead actress sang Disney songs to us as we waited.
But it was so awesome to see the attention and your reactions, because you guys were being comical, about it.
Yeah.
It was like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where like she's sitting outside
reading
with all
a
the
book.
little animals. Yeah, reading a book. It was kind of like that, but your faces were like the Seven Dwarfs, like, it was so beautiful.
And we did that because she has a good voice, and we were like, well, we can't do anything right now anyway, so yeah.
I never heard the plane.
You just heard her beautiful voice.
Yeah. And your reaction.
That's funny.
What's your perspective on this, Jason?
I think it's a fantastic idea. And I try to document my work on a score in my studio. So I have a kind of little funny story about that. So one of the films I worked on a couple of years ago, I'm always mindful of I try to post stuff, working on the score, but I try to be mindful not to give too much away. Like usually I won't post anything that has sound, like anything coming through my studio monitors, until the film is out there.
Good idea.
But there was,
for legal reasons.
Yeah. And it's a big part of the experience of the film. Like I wouldn't want to give it away before the thing's even out there, but I remember one time I posted this photo of myself, and the score was kind of like a synth based score. And in the photo, I had a guitar in my hand, an electric guitar. And the reason why is because I like to create synthesizer sounds with guitars. I have different processes that I do to manipulate guitars to make them sound like synths. And so anyway, I posted this photo, and then like afterwards, the director saw it on Instagram, was like, why are you playing guitar? Not in like a mean way or anything, but it was just like kind of like weirded out a little bit. Like, oh my God, like, what are you doing with guitars? Like, so I was like, no, don't worry. I manipulate it. I do a lot of, things to it to change the sound. So don't worry. But after that, it kind of made me mindful, like just kind of having the perspective of the director in mind when I'm posting stuff, It made me a little bit more mindful of that. But also I was going to say, like...
Wait. Let me say this, though. So had you not posted it on social media later when he saw and heard the music and everything, then you could have showed it to him and say, I also used guitars. Yeah. And then he may have thought, oh, my God, I can't believe that. But you have something to, look here,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the way I didn't even think about it, because I'm just kind of in my own studio world, and like I know what I'm doing in my process and stuff, and so it wasn't like jarring or anything to me, Or so anyway, and then there was I was gonna say that because I'm usually by myself in my studio working on music, and I don't have like a BTS person or anything like that, which would be amazing.
Selfies.
Tripod.
Yeah, so anyway, but I find and I've done projects where I'll have my iPhone recording me, while I'm working, and I find it a little bit distracting, especially when I'm recording. Like I'm recording on my laptop. I got this phone going. It's like, so actually with the project I'm working on now, so far I haven't done any behind the scenes stuff, but I'm just going to take like an hour occasionally and just shoot stuff in my studio.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be like in real time while I'm actually trying to work on the score.
Do you ever meet with the filmmaker or anything?
With which one?
Do you ever meet with the director or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because maybe that might be a time you say, just for a few little video clips of us, hanging out together. Nothing major with sound or not trying to give anything. It's just for my own safekeeping in case I ever want to share the story of how I worked on films through film scoring.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I actually haven't done that yet. Weirdly, like a lot of my projects are remote.
Yeah.
So I've done a couple films where I've never met the person in person.
That's cool.
Outside
and
of
you could
video
even like, again, you could put your phone on a tripod and then, I'm talking to you on Skype. By the way, my iPhone is, recording us for a little bit so that I can
post it on social
document.
media.
Yeah.
No, don't have to post it on social media. You keep it for later.
Sure.
For creating your own. I mean, like actors have reels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually they're on camera stuff when they're, I shouldn't say on camera stuff. I should say, clips from the finished product, right?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I said product. The finished film.
Project. You're fine.
And it's kind of like that, but in a different way. Because you're creating, you're not really creating a reel. You're creating, well, in a way, a reel, I guess, like a commercial of yourself in a way. Just something, just open your mind to all the possibilities once you have all those things together. You could, once you have the clearance, even through your own, the music that you make for your own stuff, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do the process of that, record that.
Yeah, I do.
And then have a bunch of B-roll, and then you put that music track as the soundtrack for the B-roll to create a montage of how you make the music.
Mm-hmm.
We actually, with Paralysis, one of the things that... So, I mean, I wrote the script, so I can make this joke, but there were a couple of things that happened too often in this script, and it was just shitty writing. And one of the things was that Allison's character says Nikki so goddamn much. And so, and Nikki is my character. And so it ended up happening that the behind the scenes footage that our director got, or not our director, I'm the director, that our producer got, was oftentimes Allison saying, Nikki. And so it turned into this running joke that just crew members in the middle of, like, she'd be recording behind the scenes, crew members would look at her camera and go, Nikki. And so we have all this footage of random people just going, Nikki. And like, we're like, we should do something with that. Maybe for like the special features or something on the DVD. But like, we have like probably 10 minutes worth of people just saying Nikki. Like, yeah. Yeah. And then I cut half of those Nickies in the editing.
Actually ends up in the credits, right?
What was that?
Some of that stuff ends up in the credit, like they call them bloopers.
Yeah,
but they're not always bloopers.
I mean, I'm not putting that on Paralysis. This is very dark horror film,
we go
and
then from
like
horror to comedy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Joey, I think your perspective would be great because you termed yourself this a while back, but. The YouTuber perspective, right?
Yeah.
But you're also a filmmaker, so I'd love to know a little more about how you would consider this in your scenario, because I know you do this already, but even expanding on it.
Definitely, because I think before when we first started the YouTube channel, it's kind of like it's like a variety type of thing. We didn't really know what we were doing. We are just kind of filming a bunch of stuff, a bunch of skits. Even though I knew that I always wanted to be a director, and the people I had on at that time, they were just maybe just for fun, like acting. But eventually now, in in the current version of our channel and our group, the channel itself has core tenets that we kind of follow when we put it up on our channel. It has to be we either put up the films that we do, like the films that we make, and anything that pertains to our journey as filmmakers. So, and sometimes we film our off days when we're not filming anything for our film, and it's just like a break, and we literally just go get something to eat and we just show that, because I think a lot of people are also interested in how indie filmmakers, like how we're able to produce the way that we produce. And it's like, okay, sometimes it's just not just work, it's us here, we're going to go get sandwiches or something, and that's just the break that we have in our 24/7 work life, and that's so people can see how we kind of build our time, and I think it's a cool concept. That's why I think that
the humanity.
Yes, the humanity behind the filming, the filmmakers, right? It's not just it's definitely not the glitz and glamour that everybody thinks. It's the sometimes I know when people have the whole thing when people are like set life, hashtag set life. I kind of want to do this thing where how can I make me sitting down and editing for hours look cool?
Oh my.
Right? How do I make that?
What you should do is you should just be sitting in front of a computer looking completely frazzled, maybe with a bottle of vodka in front of you, and do hashtag editing life.
Right?
Hashtag edit life. On set, as crew, when you show up on set, usually I still have these, a pair of army pants full of pockets.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the glamorous stuff that you would wear outside, even to go get a burger somewhere or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's nobody thinks about looking glamorous when you're on set, because you're going to be there for 12 hours anyway.
Definitely for the unit people, the production people, all of these actors don't understand what we have to.
Oh, and the actors show up. They're not allowed to wear makeup.
I will also say, with what we're talking about, I felt a sense of responsibility, and that's why I was super grateful that Jamie was constantly shooting behind the scenes, because we had so many people contribute to the project. So it was not only about sort of telling the behind the scenes of the story or the story of the film a little bit through behind the scenes, but it was also about I mean, I'll be honest, I felt an immense amount of pressure to show people that we were doing what we said we were going to do,
because of the crowdfunding.
Because of the crowdfunding, yeah.
But I think there was another aspect, though, Levi, on your film too, which you were talking about the obligation in a way.
Yeah.
But also, I think in your case, it would have also been good to show the research that you did for paralysis, for telling that story in a genuine way, in a respectful way.
Yeah.
And also you going to get that book and making that book in the way that you made it. You bought a book and then you destroyed it to make it look like a real book.
Yeah. I sure did. You are right. Yeah. Yeah.
And those are some of the things that
maybe we should have done more of. I guess now that you're saying that, I'm like, God, we could have done more of that. Because we did. We bought a lot of props. Looking very pristine and nice, and then we made them look weathered and deteriorating.
Yeah.
So
antiquated.
Yeah, and I guess my brain goes to, oh shit, I have to have this ready in 2-3 days.
That's why next time people need to hire me, because I'll be the consultant to give you all those wonderful ideas.
You'd be like, Levi, when are you doing that? I'm coming over.
Definitely. We should fly you over here for the next time we have a big film, and you can help us out, Susie.
Seriously, I've got a lot. So here's the thing. My thing is about documentaries. I have this immense passion for documentary filmmaking, and this is what I'm going to do for my listeners, our listeners. I'm going to put the link to a filmmaking game changer. This thing that I wrote on my Substack. No, I'm just kidding. I'm probably going to cut that out.
Now market it. Market it. That's branding right there.
Nothing. But it's called a filmmaking game changer, The Blair Witch Project, 1999. That experience for me at the beginning of when I shifted my major from paralegal
Oh my God.
to filmmaking and video and media and communications and all that blew my mind because I got to experience that in the way they wanted me to experience it. I had no idea that this was fake. And by the time I sat down in a completely empty, small little theater at a shopping mall to watch this film, it was around midnight. I was all alone.
Yeah.
And it was just a rumor
Yeah.
at the time that it may have been a trick of some sort.
Yeah.
So this, for me, talk about the story of the storytelling, right? These guys were out shooting a documentary and they ended up being the subject of this film
Yeah.
on their own, right? And the thing is, like, a lot of people don't know, but they actually, the characters, their names, their names are, hold on, what are their names? Okay, their names are Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard. And by the way, if you're listening and you know these guys, please bring them on my podcast. Those are the real names.
Yeah.
And they used them as their character names. They weren't thinking, and this brings me up to this again, like what Levi, what you were saying about, like, your head is not fully 100% everywhere. It's 100% focused on what you want to achieve, which is your film. And that's enough. That's more than enough. You know, especially as a director. So I'm going to put that link on there because I just thought, I just think, so that's my documentary thing. That's what became so fascinating for me. And we discussed it in our cinematography class as the biggest, change maker in the history of film for marketing.
And then Paranormal Activity ended up being the next one that sort of did that everybody was confused of whether or not it was a real thing. Yeah, and they also used their real names, if I remember right. Like, his name was Micah. I don't remember the girl's name, and she's the Katie, I think her name is. Yeah, but it was a very similar thing that everybody was like, is this real or is this not? Yeah.
And that's another thing you could do with your thing. It's like, well, maybe later or maybe before that, we create a film about making the film, and we just hint at it and create as a trailer, kind of.
Yeah.
Where people are going, wait, is that a film or is that, wait, what's going on here? Especially if I think that works really well if you're making a horror film. But what about a crime or I think a crime
film,
that.
Absolutely, because everybody films stuff on their cell phones now instead of calling 911. So absolutely, I feel like there's absolutely an opportunity to sort of like show the story of it is, but like you could show the story of your film in what would be a viral post,
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think as far as doing this kind of documenting? Do you think this realistically would bring people to it? I think it's also a good way to rehash, repurpose. People talk about repurposing their posts and their videos and social media. Do you guys think, like, I know Joey, you do it with the Zorro, you keep bringing that back up, which is definitely awesome. Or like your HBO awards.
Because like, if you think about it, that's why I really promote doing the YouTube thing to a lot of filmmakers, because it teaches you, I think, how do I say this? I think along the way, I developed this idea where quantity breeds quality. Right? Like if I wasn't forced to show up and practice my craft over and over again, I wouldn't have gotten better. That's what I believe, right? And plus, putting it out there for people to critique and be like, hey man, your stuff really sucks. I'm like, yeah, right? And like sometimes you just need that put in front of your face to actually see if you can break through different barriers of your skill and hopefully become a better person on the other end, right? And all of that though, it's like the marketing and branding is like it's just part of the business now, I guess. And I don't want to just call it like a business, but the other half of creating something for people to see means that you have to.
But it is your kind of, I mean, we can't be completely like, oh, I'm doing this just for me and my 3 friends. I mean, if
I think your heart should start there though.
Yes, of course. I think any entrepreneur listening to this would tell you their heart is always in it, at least in the beginning. The problem with entrepreneurs just like, oh, it's not making money, quit.
Sure.
Move on to something else.
But even this conversation is making me go, God, I think I'm going to go through all of the paralysis behind the scenes, because it's also just really fun to revisit that, like if you've worked on a project for that long.
And then you sell it again.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's exciting to sort of go back and revisit, like, my God, this was when we shot the promo, or this is when we shot, so Susie, if you see a post later, it's you're the inspiration. Yeah, or at the festival, like yeah.
That's the other thing, you remember I shot a lot of you little bits and pieces of your workshop. I was trying to record and then stop. The problem was that the audio is not the greatest, so I'm going to make a series of those for each topic that you covered, but then I have to mess with the audio to make it better.
Sorry,
and
we
it's
didn't want to speak in the microphone.
Time-consuming. It's not you. You can't shout at people. So this is, it was because I didn't have, somebody with a boom or anything like that, and you refused to use a microphone.
We did, but I think the microphone would have hindered how we presented it, because we would have felt it was more formal, and I felt like.
But it was officially formal in many ways. I'll let you listen to it when I create it, and you'll realize how top notch that workshop was.
Mm-hmm. Really,
thank you.
That's right, Jason. You were there.
I was engaged.
All right.
The entire time.
Everybody was. I mean, I remember Monique Gall. Remember?
Yeah, I adore her.
She was sitting on the edge of her seat taking notes.
That's very sweet.
That's a very telling thing when someone is on the edge of their seat. That's pretty engaged.
Good.
Good. So yes. So anyways, microphone would have helped. This is me talking from the video person.
Yeah. The shade. The shade.
Yeah, the whole
throwing.
time he was like, I can project. And I'm like, I know, but the whole thing was very, very, very cool. And those are things that you can incorporate into your story later.
Yeah.
You were mentioning the Dropbox.
Yeah.
And I remember in several of our film festivals in the past where we would tell people, here's the Dropbox, drop all your stuff.
Yeah, I think that's so cool.
Yeah. The problem is that people don't put their name on the files. And I like giving credit to people.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons the badges for our film festival are so large.
Honestly, I love it. I have it hung up on a bulletin board.
I still have mine too.
Yeah.
To my studio.
Because they're not just cardboard pieces of paper.
Here, actually.
Yes.
Nice.
Joey, where's yours?
Aww. Joey.
That's right, Joey.
Joey is so. We left him out in the woods.
Yeah, we did. Good luck finding your way back.
Oh my gosh.
But it's very helpful to do that, because one of the things that I learned was that when you have events and you have people that you want to focus on, that you want to give credit to, that you're able to get the photographer. By the way, make sure that you focus, you're in focus, so we can read their names, because later on we don't know who's who.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you can say, oh, it's this person, especially if later they're talking on camera, then we can look back at a photo, read their name from their badges, and we can ID them on the video.
Yeah.
See how much I know, guys? This is why you should pay me $300 an hour.
Well, geez. So this has already been 300 from each of us.
And our listeners, you're so special. You get it for free.
We pay to be on this podcast, you guys.
God, there are people who pay to be guests on podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've had people ask,
Wow.
and that's harsh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, what? No. I always think of everything, this. Levi, I always think it's a give and give.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always, people say give and take. And I'm like, that kind of sounds weird.
Yeah.
That sounds like someone's giving, the other one's taking,
Yeah.
and then you stop there. I'd rather say it's give and give. We're both
I like
giving.
that.
Yeah. So speaking of the giver, we're giving up our time now. One more thing, Ryan.
Uh-huh.
I want you to talk just for a minute here. Don't rush. Though, about the storytelling that you did, the film that you were just talking about with the werewolf.
Well, give me a second to think of that. I could say kind of in just general sense, like I have another friend who does he cosplays as Senator Palpatine or Emperor Palpatine.
Yes.
And posts every day, and I've heard him and his girlfriend, who's also a film collaborator and helped me with Married and Loving It. Her name's Danielle, and they've said, like, everything is content. And they post, and so there are times where I'm writing a script and I'll take a picture of it along the way, and you guys don't see it or the people out there don't see it necessarily because I never finished the script, so I don't post it. But there are times where I'll post it could be a picture of a storyboard that I was working on, and I'll say it's for the film that we're making, but it's actually not. But it's the picture of a storyboard that I have. So it's kind of like posting that you're on vacation when you never really left town.
So you're lying.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
But the other part is, many of us all, because we're not just directors, we're also producers here in this podcast. And part of the job of the producer is like, you go from the beginning to the end. I've had producers who have left our projects as soon as we finish shooting. And it's unfortunate because it's like the producer ball actually is from the very beginning of when it's like, are we going to make another movie, to the very end of like, now we have distribution. And then it's even beyond that. It's because now not only do you have distribution, but then it's trying to make sure everybody sees it in that distribution. And so the story then, as we said, like you're telling two stories. You're telling the story in your movie, but there's a story of how you made your movie. And when we're independent at this level, that's kind of like our biggest story to tell. Really, is because it's going to be the how we did it. And there's as much as little.
And you're documenting your growth and your expertism later, because it comes from experience. Yeah,
exactly. And there's also, you have to have almost like proof that you did it too, right? Just for fun. And I do have a thing. I say, every picture, not every picture, but at least somewhere in the production, you should always have a picture of yourself as the director pointing at something. That's like the director look, is if there's cameras right next to you and you're pointing in any direction. And when I was helping Sophia my 10-year-old shoot her film, I did the same thing. I was going to take a picture of her, and I was like, you need to point. And she's like, point. I was like, just point. You're a director. You got to point at something, and then that's the picture that we use.
It's a running joke now.
You know what, Ryan? I'm going to do that on every production now.
You're still.
I don't think I've ever done that, but I'm going to do it now.
Too. I'm going to point at my studio.
Do it.
I'm going to point at my microphone.
But oftentimes I'll say, like, oh, well, at the level that I'm working at or whichever, and I really mean that is like the $5,000 to $6,000 budget level for a feature film. As little as it is, there are so many people who aren't doing it or might still look at us and say, how did you do it? And what what are the tips and tricks of how you did it, and so we're just one step above the person who's still looking for that answer of how to do it, and we can possibly be encouraging. And then the second thing is, and one thing I really love is when I am actively working on a project, I'm posting pictures of it. I love when I go out in public, and again, I live in a small town. I don't live in Los Angeles, right? So I live like in Ogden, Utah. So it's like when I go out, I love when people when you bump into somebody and they already know you're shooting your movie, or they already know that you're about to shoot it, or they already know so it's like, oh hey, how's it going? They can just already go like, oh man, congratulations on the thing you just won. And it's like, yeah, so then that that's what I really like, is that somebody, you did capture them in some way, and they know that you're doing it. And there's something gratifying about that, I guess, for me at least.
When I lived up in the mountains, not where Joey is, we shot some stuff out there, some short films out there, and there was like a trading post, and people when they would see me, they were like, hey, because everybody knows. I mean, it was a small section. It was just like, it's not even a town. It's just like this small little neighborhood in a way. And everybody knew that we were filming stuff, and they found it really interesting and neat and all this stuff, because they're just out there I wouldn't say it was the middle of nowhere, because I mean, after all, it is San Diego, within the county. It's just up on top of a mountain where I happen to be. But everybody, I think it was because the community was so tight. Yeah. I remember creating a haunted house, a haunted experience for everybody right next to the trading post, and people from the school and people from the city part of that came up there because they had heard about how freaky it was. Because we had a guy that was running a real chainsaw at the end of it, and he was freaking people out, and I was like, please tell me you took the chain off of that thing, right? He's all, yeah, it's just for noise. I was like, oh my God.
That's funny. A long time ago, I worked in a haunted house when I was a teenager, and at times I was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre running the chainsaw and chasing kids out of our abandoned mall. I should say, I can't believe I failed to say this, but so BJ, who does the Senator Palpatine, is BJ Wimpy, and he's also the werewolf in Ancient Evil's Blood.
So very cool.
As I was saying, I was like, how did I miss that? It's like you win and you forget to thank your wife,
Is that video public?
Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel is New Ogden Cinema, and that's where we'll find our other horror films that my team has put together, and then which we kind of have a series called Ancient Evil, and then also my content around like Married to Loving It is on there as well.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Very, very
awesome.
cool. By the way, just to kind of wrap this up, Levi, how many more film festivals do you have to go before you release yours?
We are waiting to hear back from, I think it's 34 right now. So
from 39, you've gone down to 34.
Yes,
okay.
and we've been rejected by a couple, and we've been accepted by a couple. So,
Somewhere there's a photo of Levi pointing somewhere.
I may have actually just taken one of me pointing at the computer screen while we recorded the podcast.
Put it in that Dropbox folder.
I'm actually going to add it to the chat.
You could always take a still from that video of you guys with Allison Lobel.
Oh, yeah.
You guys singing during that. That I just love that video.
It's a fun video.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Anything else?
I think that's great. I think we covered a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot that you guys you keep coming back. Listeners, if you want to share some feedback, let us know that you're happy that they come back for each one of these sessions.
Yes.
Especially Joey, who's out there in the woods.
Hey, man, I'm committed. I promise I would be here as much as I can.
I love that.
Yes, I love it too. And I will be here for sure because it ain't happening if I'm not here. I just thought about that mid-sentence.
That's funny.
So, all right, guys, say goodbye to our listeners.
Until next time.
Till next time, y'all.
See you guys later.